All right, we are live on Leighton's Loft, and let's see who we got here. Do we have the host? We don't have the host.
Oh,
We have J5.
It's okay. I'm the co-pilot.
You got to get in the camera shot, though.
Yeah, I'll sit at a plane for a little bit.
Or I'll just, I'll look like Step Brothers and just sit right behind you.
Yeah, look at it. There's Dougie Fresh right behind me.
Dougie Fresh, ready to fill in and make sure we get all of our contestants in today.
Yes. Hi, Kevin, James, Donald. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Leighton's Loft.
Oh, there
Leighton is here. He is just getting ready.
Yes.
Kevin, how are you? James is here. Our buddy Donald is here.
Yes. So I see Facebook messages.
Which is what we want.
Right. I just don't know about YouTube. We'll find out on YouTube.
Somebody on YouTube, if you're watching us on YouTube, I am on YouTube, right? Yeah, I am on YouTube. Somebody on YouTube, give us a little message on here so we can test out the system here. Brandon.
What's up, Brandon? Yeah, I mean, I have my restream YouTube up, and nobody has said anything. So
maybe it's just all Facebook.
Maybe everybody knows it has to be Facebook.
Go to the Loft. Yeah.
Which is fine. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. What's up, Archive?
Andy's here. Todd's here.
What's up, Todd? Cute instrument.
There's a floating head. Yep, I'm a floating head.
Yeah.
I sting, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yeah. What's up, Kev? Yeah, so we have. Yep, Leighton is getting ready.
There's a YouTube comment right there.
Test. Oh,
Who
maybe I have to refresh.
Is that Dougie?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Oh, hey, Leighton. There you go.
Leighton's there.
Okay, cool.
Oh, great. The show's already started. So, of course, I'm late to my own show, guys. I apologize. Welcome to Leighton's Loft, our weekly podcast here on Facebook with my companion, my compadre, and my friend, Lou. Thanks for joining me today, Lou.
Leighton, it's great to be here, and obviously we're all sorry for your loss. We'll say goodbye to J5 and Dougie here and get into the program.
Great.
Everyone wants to say we're sorry, and I've been through this. Most of us have been through this. It's a tough time. It's a tough go.
Yeah, it's for Lou, for me personally, it's my first. Meaning, it's my first dog. So, before we kind of get into all that, I want to say good afternoon to everybody who's here already. So what's up, Kev, Ryan, let's see here, Donald, James, Andy, Gary. We're going to get to some of the prizes that we're going to give away in just a few minutes today on Leighton's Loft podcast, which, of course, you can listen to on Spotify and Apple and all that good stuff. But certainly you're going to see today more than ever, just like when Brad was here, this show is not just about baseball cards. This show is not just about collecting. It's about the integration of life and baseball cards and being an entrepreneur in that field, something I'm very proud of. Today we're going to kind of veer off that path and, just talk about, for those that are dog lovers, dogs in my particular journey. But I do promise everyone that not only will give away some prizes today, the only way that you can qualify for those prizes is to leave a comment graciously on our Leighton's Loft Facebook page to qualify. And if you start a watch party, you will get a second entry.
We are also bringing in comments from the YouTube page today. So if you're commenting on YouTube,
that's great.
You can enter as well today.
That's great. Well, Charles G., thank you very much. And, what's happened, Lou, is, I guess I'll start kind of from the last few days. So, unfortunately, Argon, our dog, but really our family, thank you, Lou, our family member, he was, it was the end of his journey on Monday. Argon had a really good life, albeit a difficult one. Special shout out to James Phillips. So what happened, Lou, is I put this on Facebook shortly before I went live. Mm-hmm. So not that I would have been on time, right? But there was a chance. And what happened was I was inundated with private messages, phone calls, and texts from, people all across, meaning some people that didn't know me before I had Argon, some people that I met after, and really everyone in between. And so really it was just, it was wonderful. But a special shout out to James. Hey, what's up, Dev? Yeah, on Facebook, bud. So a special shout out to James because James, I know, was involved with dogs for a living. And so what I'm thinking is today, Lou, I'm going to talk to James offline. I'm not sure if he's watching now, but I'd love to hear about James, plight and journey as both a collector, how he ended up, let's say, combining that with he works at Audi, I believe, meaning as like a manager or something. But then also he says he's very passionate about dogs. So I'd love to have James on in a few weeks or next week, whatever the case is. Thank you, Todd. To talk about what he does and such. Jim, I'm sorry, it's terrible. Yeah. So
we all love our dogs, man. I've been a dog guy since I was a kid, and there's that one dog. In the whole line of dogs I've owned, his name was Charlie. He was an Australian Shepherd, and all 70 pounds of his goofy ass. It was, and I miss that dog every day.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about Argy Boy, and we got Oregon. There's a lot of different takes on how you're supposed to get a dog, and for us, we got a dog from, we'll call them a small-time breeder. And she was specifically breeding golden doodles because they don't shed, and that was like a thing. And my wife didn't really want to get a dog, but get one that doesn't shed. And so, needless to say, Argon was welcomed into our life. And what was amazing is at about 1 year old, I don't know at that time if he was sleeping on our bed or he was just in our bedroom, gang, but we thought he was choking, in the middle of the night. And it turned out to be a seizure. So we rushed him to the hospital. And, the rest, I guess they say, is history. Because I can feel myself, right? I can be real here. So I feel myself kind of keeping on the edges of discussing it because I don't really want to break down for you all because it'll be very easy for me to do that as I've been doing it the last few days. But one of the things that, I didn't really know that as we were raising him, as we were taking care of him, Julie and I knew how much money, how much effort, how much sacrifice, but we didn't really know, nor did we brag to the people around us how much effort it was taking, how much sacrifice.
Right.
To hear and to see some of the people's comments and people texting me and reaching out to me that I haven't talked to in quite some time, they just get it. And so, oh, wow. So, yeah, everyone has their story. I'm looking here in the chat. It's pretty amazing that everyone has a different journey, for themselves. And so what made ours in particular so difficult is because, of course, they didn't just tell us Argon had epilepsy. They told us he had a severe form of epilepsy. And so, what that meant was a lot of trips to the doctor, to neurologists, to UPenn vet, and all those bills, of course, add up. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about on the show today was, please, I implore you, whether it be you have a pet now or you're going to get one soon, please get pet insurance. Because as much money as it did cost, my family, it almost would have been cost prohibitive, meaning no one wants to be put in that decision.
Right.
Can I afford to take care of my pet because of a medical problem that they are, have or don't have? And so Trupanion was the particular pet insurance company that we used, and they were incredible. And we always, when I say a joke, I use it loosely. Julie and I would say, wait a minute, man, when the fuck are they going to stop reimbursing us for, it's like 70 or 80% of the cost of the medication.
Right.
Like, when are they going to stop doing this? Because Argon's epilepsy is not going away. And yet they never did. And so, for that, we were forever grateful.
Yeah, it's so important because you never want to get into that situation where you simply can't afford to give the dog the care that it needs at the time. And it's surprisingly expensive. Vet care is surprisingly expensive.
Yeah, it is. And, before we kind of get back to Argon, I would like to give our community some shout outs here because we're really getting a mixture of messages. And I realize that some people who are going to be listening to our podcast won't necessarily look at the comments, Lou.
Right.
So, and listen, this is, folks, if you're not in for a tearjerker today, I suggest maybe tuning out. But, Jim, this is real life, and I appreciate you sharing and being so transparent. Certainly my heart goes out to your family. So Jim was saying their dog got us through some really hard times, including a miscarriage. And so, Jim, I hope that you and your family are strong as ever. Ryan Kyle loves their golden retriever, Tony, who just survived a scare with cancer. Oh, my goodness. She had a tumor on her liver about 2 months ago. And instead of costing us about $10,000, it's about $500 out of pocket because of pet insurance.
Yeah.
And so if it wasn't obvious, This podcast, this show today is dedicated to Argon, but not just dedicated to Argon. For those of us that have lost a dog or a cat or a loved pet, Lou, I found myself, for the first few people I talked to, that say, "Oh, it's really tough to lose a dog," and I said, "Yeah, because he's a member of my family." And so that's really what it's about, is just being able to, I can feel it. It's already therapeutic for me, just being on camera and talking about it for a few minutes. I was a little bit nervous about today because I thought I wasn't going to be able to talk through this, but I did a lot of crying the last few days.
It's hard, and as I said, I've owned a lot of dogs in the course of my life, and when you go through it, there is that one dog, and you don't know who it is yet, but there is going to be that one dog, and for me, putting him down, here's my solace for you, because I said about Charlie, and I meant it when I said it, there isn't a day I don't think of that dog, and these dogs, they don't go away. They stay right by your side. You're sitting on the couch, they're sitting right there with you. It'll always be that way. That dog's always going to be in your heart, and he's always going to be in your lives. It's just, it's the best part of it, because they just kind of stick around. Yeah,
well, it sounds like Charlie was a great dog, Lou.
Argy Boy was all hell, but yeah, he was a great dog.
Yeah, Argy Boy was a great dog, and really went through an incredible amount. And I always wondered, if he was able to talk, would he have complained? Would he have said, "Hey, this is hurting me," or "This is too much"? When
yeah, no, I don't think so, because dogs are very pure. They don't hold things back. Your dog probably had a really, Argy was probably very happy most of the time, right?
No, I think he was. We had a really bad feeling on Sunday night, Lou. So Argon, who generally slept in our bed, we had a huge, gigantic, supersized king-size bed, and Argy was 75 pounds. So Argon slept downstairs on Sunday night, and the doctor told us to get him these egg crates, which we did. He was doing a little bit of moaning. We didn't know exactly what had happened, or certainly what was going to happen the next day. And I'm just, really thankful that I had that last night, where I basically took care of him, kind of didn't really sleep, hand and foot,
right?
Rubbed his belly for as long as I was conscious.
Yep.
I know that I've heard this expression in life where you don't kind of wish something on your worst enemy. And having not gone through this before on Monday, having to make a decision what to do with your dog when they're not well, is something I don't wish on my worst enemy.
Oh, it's very hard. Yeah, that's a very hard time. Yeah.
Crosby was not with us, thankfully. He was with the nurse at home.
Yep.
But Dr. Levitin is an extremely passionate man. He himself had put down his German Shepherd a few years ago. And he's an Israeli neurologist, for whatever that's worth. And he happened to be at the previous vet in New York City, Blue Pearl, which is a 24-hour vet. He happened to leave there, and Argon's case was so special, Lou and gang, that we couldn't retell his story every time and have people believe that he could, continue to, to live a good life. So when he came out to us, because we couldn't go in at first when we brought him there on Monday. He did obviously let us go in. We spent a bunch of time with Argy Boy, before letting go. But I really don't wish that on my worst enemy. And my best advice is, if you have a partner, is to make the decision together. Yeah. It was extremely difficult, emotional. It felt like a reckoning in my body. I remember at some point I said to Julie, I don't think I can feel my face.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what was happening. I didn't know if it was like a panic attack or what. But listen, we're about a day and a half out, and we have some plans. So one of the plans that we had talked about was talking about Argy Boy on the show today. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Jimmy, and the rest of the gang. What's up, Monty? And so, one of the things, we didn't really know how we were gonna do it, Lou. But really kudos to J5 and the staff, and I heard you got involved as well, so I appreciate your direction. But we're gonna do something really special in honor of Argon. I'm almost gonna call it a scholarship. I'd love to do it yearly.
It is a scholarship. This is so. I love this idea so much, and it's it's a great thing. And so he's going to live on, and this dog that's going to be the end result of this, and it's going to be great for all of us. And that dog is going to have so many owners. I know no one knows what we're talking about, but this dog is going to have so many owners. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So, folks, what we're going to do in order to, to honor Argon, I'll try to bring a little bit of light to it. So I told my wife a little bit about the idea, and needless to say, she's pretty emotional herself at the moment. I said, "Hey, honey, remember some of that money I was saving to paint the house?" I said, "Yeah, I got a great idea. I'm gonna give some of it away." She's like, "What do you mean?" So what we're going to do is, because I realize, there's all different walks of life. There's people that, have enough money but haven't pulled the trigger to get a dog because they know they don't have the time.
Right.
I appreciate that. And I know as fellow dog owners, Lou, you appreciate that because you have to have the time to give to the dog.
Oh, Nicholas wins the show today.
Yeah, I just saw that. That's adorable.
It's a scholarship. I love that.
So what we decided to do was, thanks, Gary. What we decided to do, this comes from my wife and, from me, is we're going to be giving away, I guess we'll call it a $1,000 collarship, but really a scholarship in Argon's name. And really, for that matter, any other dog that had suffered from epilepsy, especially severe epilepsy. It's really hard to manage in dogs, especially bigger dogs, for so many different reasons. It can spend a whole show on that. And so, in honor of him and those that have, come before him, we're going to give a family a chance that, maybe some of us wish that we had when we were younger, or for that matter now, but, we can't afford it. And a lot of times people are, afraid, in the world that we live in, to wear your heart in your sleeve and say, "Hey, I'd really like to get a dog, but, I have the time, I just can't afford it." And I'm talking about, hey, even if you get a dog, because I looked into it, from a shelter, you got to pay for adoption, you got to pay for the vet, you got to have food, you want to buy them toys, you want to treat them right. Listen, for Christ's sake, we took Argon swimming in a dog pool. We did all sorts of crazy shit with him, but all in a really good way. And so, look, Brandon, I know you and others have got dogs to kind of help them through the pandemic. As long as you treat them as a family member, then it's going to be a great relationship for all that have, a dog or a cat. But to kind of get back to center for a minute, Lou, so courtesy of, my family and Argon, really, in his name. So we're going to give away a $1,000 scholarship, collarship, whatever you want to call it. And what that means is we're going to do that, through Leighton's Loft Facebook page. I'm going to make an announcement on my personal Facebook page. And let's just say, Lou, for the next week or so, we can have people DM us. You can call our office. You can write me on Facebook. You can send me an email. Someone can put in my email, leighton@justcollect.com. And we're going to select a family to give $1,000 to help them realize their dreams. And whether it be get their first ever dog or to get a dog after maybe years of not having one through loss or through financial hardship. We would like to help a family or an individual realize their dreams. We feel like that's the least that we can do. And it's a really nice way to honor Argon and have his memory carry on.
What the beauty of this is, the way the universe works, is you're going to give a dog a great life in honor of Argon. And this is a great thing in and of itself. But what's going to happen is you're going to find someone who needs that dog just as much as the dog needs that person, Yeah. This is going to be a pairing thing, and this is going to be great on both ends right here. We're going to find somebody who needs a pet, and we're going to give them a pet, and they're going to be companions. It's going to be great. I love this idea.
Yeah, so, there's no rush, folks. I wanted to take some time to read some of the comments because I appreciate everyone's feedback. Oh, wow. Well, so shout out to Billy. And so Billy took in a dog from fostering from a bad situation, ended up keeping her because no one else would take her because of her seizures. Yeah. So that was one of the things, Billy, that we had heard really from anyone from like the top neurologists at UPenn all the way to like the local vet in Hoboken was that like, hey, you guys don't have to keep Argon. Like, you could just give up on him and like, give him to a shelter. Like thinking this is not a toy. This is not a temporary assignment. We're going to do everything that we can, to get through it. And so thank you, Stan.
So you adopt a dog, it's for better or worse. I mean, it's the way it goes. You don't just give up because it's too much work.
Well, I really I have empathy for Billy and his family. That's really
Yep.
tough to do. Yep, Argy had plenty of visits to the office, Dougie. He constantly would be on the lookout for who would drop food. So special shout out to Chris Brown. So this is interesting, Chris. So Chris says that he suffers from epilepsy himself, and I couldn't imagine what that is. Only because Chris, the only person I knew in my life that had it was Argon. However, what's really interesting, Chris, is that Shamina, who's a girl that we met in Hoboken, she used to work at the doggy daycare. Used to call it school for Argon. She would help take care of Argon when we would go away because Argon really had a very intense regimen of pills.
Right.
As I had joked on our Facebook post that he would have made even Cal Ripken Streak, proud. And so, regards to epilepsy, it turns out, and you just talk about people kind of meeting people for a certain reason. Shamina, it turned out, had epilepsy. And so, Chris, I certainly empathize with, you and your family. And, one thing I have heard, Chris, is I believe there may be dogs that they breed to help humans identify when they're about to have a seizure. I don't know if you've ever heard that before.
No.
Because we had thought about candidly getting a dog to help, like a second dog help Argon, in case like we didn't hear him have a seizure, they would let us know he had a seizure. Because when a dog has a seizure, for those that don't know, and Chris, maybe it's the same if when a human has a seizure, but Lou, you're trying to minimize the length of the seizure as best you can. Shout out to Tom. He's got a current dog that's a rescue from Alabama. Oh, wow. So, Nick, you've had grand mal seizures since 1971, so you certainly can empathize. That's not easy to live like that. And, Nick, my heart goes out to you and your family. I hope you guys are, doing the best possible. And so, it's amazing because I know for a fact that treating epilepsy in humans is tough enough. Well, in dogs, it's like treating just regular epilepsy is hard, but they say is somewhat common. But when it becomes severe, everyone's answer is kind of, hey, just bring him to the shelter. It'll be someone else's problem. And, it didn't really feel that was a good solution for us. Thank you, Mario. So really, I appreciate that, our show is called Leighton's Loft. Everyone knows I'm a baseball card dork. And then I run vintage breaks and just collect. But yet, literally every single comment has been one of empathy or love or from a similar experience that they've had a dog, that they've had to deal with a difficult time. Or for that matter, it looks like we've had several folks like Nick, and I think it was Chris, that actually have epilepsy themselves. So I can't imagine what it's like to be in their shoes, but they might just have a little snippet of what it was like to be in Argon's. And, it's it was not an easy journey, but it was one that we were happy to be there alongside of him. And I know you've been showing off some of his pictures, but I wanted to show a few of them in person. This is just a little bit. Is that good like that, Lou? Or should I do it the other way?
Oh, hang on. I'll put it on. Hang on. I'll give you the desktop. There you go.
So this is Argy Boy on our old bed in Hoboken when you could see he was really pretty tiny, but he was really feisty then. Kind of the way you're describing Charlie, Lou, was, Argy Boy had so much energy. He was like a rocket, so fast. It was great. And so that was one of them. We had, let's see, this is another one that is, a family favorite. We had our good friend Will, who loves dogs from Hoboken and is also a dog photographer, take this picture.
Beautiful.
And Argy Boy just behaved for about a minute. Crosby behaved for about a minute, even gave us a smile. And if you look, you have New York City in the background. And, it's just one of those priceless pictures.
Was Argon that big or was Crosby that small at that point?
Oh, Argy was big and Crosby was that small because Crosby was only probably 3.5 there, maybe 3.
Yep.
So, Argy Boy was always big. And to be fair, Argy Boy right there, you could see, he probably had long hair and was blown out. But when Argon was shaved down, he kind of looked like skinny and almost vulnerable.
Right.
But his hair really made him look a lot larger. Yeah, Nick, I'm sorry to hear that. I also saw that Matt had to do something similar in his family, Matt T from the West Coast. So, appreciate everyone sharing their own journey. One other picture. This is a nice family portrait that once again Will took of us. So my wife is always doing funny stuff. She got Argy Boy, and this is Crosby when he's even a little bit younger. You can see they got matching scarves, and so I thought that was really cute.
Gorgeous picture.
Thank you. So anyway, folks, once again, for those that are just tuning in, today's show, is in honor of Argon, our beloved dog and our family member who unfortunately reached the end of his journey on Monday. And in honor of him, beyond just talking and reminiscing about, forget about just my journey, but everyone's, is anyone who's out there, Lou, if you could put in my email address, or if someone could be kind enough to drop it in, it's Leighton@justcollect.com. We're going to be talking about it on Leighton's Loft Facebook page, my personal Facebook page. But we're going to try to help a family financially get a dog, and then have them share their journey with our community, and hopefully not just for my family and myself personally, but also for those families and yourself, Lou, that have lost dogs along the way. Listen, the world's going through a lot of stuff right now. It's
this one's going to be all our dogs right here.
Yeah,
everybody here. We're all going to follow along, and that's the thing. We want you to be able to share the journey with us. The adoption, and give us pictures and updates and things like that. And if you have a family member, younger family, or for your partner or for your child or something, but just haven't been able to swing it financially because it's a big cost getting into a dog.
Yeah, I want to give a special shout out to Ollie and Daisy. These are two dogs, and we made friends with Justin Friedman and his wife Alex, and then Jen and John in Hoboken. And my friend Kenny here, who I play tennis with now, is also a member of the Vintage Breaks community. I guess he was, I'm pretty private person, but like I said, I put this on Facebook before I went live, and the outpouring of support was wonderful, and appreciate it. Appreciate all the memories. Trying to of course look at the glasses half full, and realize that if Argon had potentially different owners, he may not have had as good a life, as long a life. We really did sacrifice a lot for him.
It could have been one of those dogs that was returned to the shelter, maybe once or twice. Just people didn't want to take it on, or it was too much for them. So, everybody got lucky. David has a great idea. Produce a set with athletes and their pets.
Yeah, I think that, or at the very least, would be a great social media, YouTube series. But I definitely plan to talk to James Phillips offline and find out about his work with dogs, get him on here, as well. One of the things that I also wanted to do, I didn't talk to the staff about this, but I thought this would be kind of fun, courtesy of Vintage Breaks now. So, Lou, I'm already a member of the ASPCA.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to be willing to do today, starting now, for the first $500 that people show us that they donate to the ASPCA today, we're going to give $500 of Vintage Breaks credit away. So once again, to be very clear, if 10 people donate $50 to the ASPCA today, and they show us their receipt or whatever the case is to Vintage Breaks, the J5 and the staff, we're going to reimburse you one-to-one up to $500, so that the ASPCA wins, our community wins, and hopefully some future dog or dogs are going to win, courtesy of all. And I read some great stuff from the ASPCA over the last few days. When you raise money, same thing I feel when I do this stuff for Crosby and Hyper, for HI, is it's not just about raising money, but it's raising awareness. And so, Julie and I were fortunate that we were able to fight for Argon financially, and do it. But a lot of folks might have had to give up because they couldn't afford it. Forget about anything else in terms of effort and whatnot. And so, it's the least that we can do, and we're trying to, really make today's episode special, for Argon and all of the other pups that have made your lives respectively special, through the years.
I got to ask Tom if his dog's named after Bryce Harper. His dog Harper. Anybody out there have dogs named after athletes? There are so many Brady dogs up here in New England.
I'm sure.
It's unbelievable. Every other dog is named Brady.
So, what I'm thinking today is, let's see, who had that really cute comment about the collarship?
That was Nick, wasn't it?
I think it was Nick Gable, right?
Yep.
And Nick Gable, if I'm not mistaken, also suffers, he said, from grand mal seizures, which I know that terminology from Argon. So, for Argon, Nick, and I'm curious if it's the same terminology for you. So there was two types of seizures. There was grand mal and there was focal. So grand mal were the big ones, the ones that lasted 30 to 60 seconds or longer, Lou, and those are the ones that were really dangerous for your life, for your brain,
right?
For your, for functioning. Hey, Craig, thank you so much. And then the focals were, I wouldn't say they were a twitch, Lou, but it was more. They were much smarter. They were much shorter, much less intense. And so, grand mals, Nick, my heart goes out to you and your family to manage those. I'm going to step away for a minute, Nick, and I'm going to grab a pack for you to open courtesy of Vintage Breaks and Just Collect on the house. We'll kind of bring some baseball cards back into the mix slowly here on today's show that we're dedicating to, to dogs.
All right,
I'll be back in 1 second.
Just to set this up again, I think I've got this right. We're going to be reimbursing up to $500 in Mspca donations. Send your receipts to this email address that's on the screen. Send them to Dougie Fresh.
We're going to give you back 1-to-1 in break credit. So if you donate $100 and you're in the first 500, we're going to give you a $100 break credit. So you're really not out any money, and we're helping the ASPCA, which I think is a great thing to do.
Okay, and Leighton's going to be donating up to $1,000 to help a family or help someone acquire a dog, get through the adoption fees. Go ahead, you can get the cards if you want. Get through the adoption fees and hopefully get a dog to a family in honor of his dog Argon. And if you have somebody you want to nominate or you want to get into it yourself, send an email to Leighton at Just Collect and tell them the story. We're going to pick somebody out, or Leighton's going to pick somebody out. And the condition here is that we want you to share the journey with us. In other words, we'd like to see some pictures of you picking out the dog and the adoption, and maybe a little video of the dog coming home the first time. We're all going to be owners of this dog. Is basically the thing here. So we want to put a nice dog with a nice family that needs it. So send an email to Leighton at Just Collect. It can be yourself. It can be, if you got an older daughter or a married daughter or son and they need a pet, or, just one for your partner or one for your kids. By all means, just send us an email and we'll pick somebody out and try to pair a dog with a family here. I guess the Harper came by Harper Lee from To Kill a Mockingbird.
Sure.
Yep.
So anyway, Lou, I didn't want to wait till the end of the show because, it took me a bunch of tears and a bunch of time to write my Facebook post. And I realize I'm not friends with everyone here on Facebook. Argon is Argon. For those that are asking how to spell it. I didn't put it into my Facebook story, but I'll tell the brief story. So I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I'm the oldest of four. I wanted a dog ever since I was a little boy. I'll talk about that in a minute in my story, but my parents had promised us a dog when I was when my youngest sister was 10, and that didn't happen. And so certainly have been, wanting a dog, ever since then. I was born in Brooklyn. My family moved out to Sayreville, New Jersey. Probably, I was very, very young, but we moved from Sayreville, New Jersey, I know for a fact, in the middle of third grade to Manalapan. So the reason why that timing is relevant is because I don't remember really much about Sayreville. I remember a few things. I remember learning about baseball, playing in the backyard, thinking I was going to be pro, hitting the ball over the fence. Meanwhile, my backyard, I looked years later, was tiny, but that's what's so cute about being a kid. In regards to living in Sayreville, my best friend, his name was Argon Osbeck. And I was not able to find him. And I remember, Lou, even as a young, God knows how you are, how old you are in third grade. But let's say Crosby's going to be 6 in December, going to kindergarten, so you're about 8-ish. I remember bawling my eyes out on my last day of school. On my last day of seeing Argon get off the bus, moving to Manalapan from Sayreville, and never forgot him. Tried to find him on the internet, couldn't. And so, long story short, when discussing names with my wife, she had known I talked affectionately about Argon all those years. We had landed on Argon, as a name for Argon. And it's funny because almost everyone who had asked us how we came up with the name was like, "Oh, you must be into chemistry. It's a gas." I'm like, "You're not even close."
No. I don't know. That's a unique name. I don't know if I've ever heard another dog named Argon.
I haven't either. We were certainly proud of it, but more proud, honestly, of the effort that we gave to live the life we did because it was not easy. And Monty, appreciate it very much. And so Monty, for example, has been, a friend to me, and he's helping out BB and Just Collect. He's helping write blogs. didn't hear from me for a few days. Maybe thought I was blowing him off, but I'm just being as transparent as I can. Haven't really wanted to work as much over the last few days. Haven't had that same, if you will, like pep in the step. Started feeling a little bit earlier today, but then I started to get nervous for the show. Meaning nervous because I was going to wear my emotion, wear my heart in my sleeve. I didn't, write anything on Facebook yet. So what I like to do now is before we open up Nick's 92 Bowman baseball pack, we're going to give him a free chance at a $500 PSA 10 Mariano Rivera rookie, which if he does get one, that's nice. We'll grade it for him on the house. And by the way, Lou, I want to say thanks to our community. I see a number of people are already donating to the ASPCA, so thank you very much. So Ryan was saying his dog Tony is actually his wife's dog that he adopted, was named after the former WSU and current Virginia men's. Oh, wow, Tony Bennett. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, everyone kind of has their own story, it seems, Lou.
Yeah, well, everyone's got a dog story, and dogs are just so pure, and this is how we all get tied together here, because I think everybody sitting here understands what you're going through, has been through it themselves, and is appreciative because it reminds them of their dog too, and the dogs that they lost. If you've donated to the MSPCA for this, you're reimbursing up to $500 in break credit.
Yep.
And email the receipt. Here's the email address to Dougie. drushvb@gmail.com. Just email the receipt there, and you'll get break credit for your donation to the MSPCA, and we thank you.
Yes, so does the ASPCA. So Billy brings up something that was really interesting. So he says the hardest part for us is just trying to remember to give hours for medication twice a day. So I can empathize. Argon got medication 4 times a day for over 2,700 days in a row.
Yep.
So do the math.
Yeah.
It's staggering, the commitment that we had to have him. Now, granted, it wasn't my wife or me to do it every time because we would be out of town, but we had to line up the proper people, the proper care to know to take it seriously. Because if Argon missed his medication, I mean, we saw if he got his medication sometimes late, he could end up having a focal seizure. So Argon had a very, very sensitive, stressful case of epilepsy. And what's interesting is, so Billy brings up the hardest part is not only remembering to give it to their dog, but also like hoping their dog still likes peanut butter. So no exaggeration, I'm going to rattle off the stuff through the years that we had to give Argon his pills in. So ham, hot dogs, peanut butter, cream cheese. We used to do turkey and chicken until we found out he was allergic. So on top of all of his other shortcomings, he was allergic to like 93 things. And then what else did we use? Oh, he loved hamburger. So we, if we had hamburger meat, we could give him pills in that. But generally, the big 3 were cream cheese, peanut butter, and ham. And the problem with ham, and by the way, these are not cheap anymore. Well, peanut butter is somewhat cheap, but he stopped liking it. Ham, super expensive. And no joke, how funny is it when you go to the deli counter? I'm like, hey, and we got him low salt ham. So I'm like, hey, can I have like 2 pounds of low salt ham?
Yep.
And she's like, oh, do you want to try a slice? I said, not really. And I would do this like every week. She's like, I don't understand why you never try a slice. It's just someone to become friendly with. I'm like, it's not for me. It's for my dog. Yep. She's like, you treat your dog really well. I'm like, do you think I make him sandwiches? You know what I mean? Like, it's not really like that.
Well, okay, I'm Italian, all right, and my current roommate is my girlfriend's dog because she can't have a dog in an apartment. He's a mini Aussie. He's crazy too, but I love him to death. He's got a pill regimen as well, and I give it to him with pepperoni, so because I'm Italian.
Sure. So we would use pepperoni, but once again, the mainstays were like. And to be fair, Lou, when you're out of cream cheese and you're out of the staples, you then reevaluate everything. Like, I wonder if Argon would eat this with raw egg.
Yeah,
probably not.
Oh God, yeah, no.
Well, I mean, a little exaggeration, but probably not. And then, of course, when your dog is not feeling well, they wouldn't want to eat it, and so like you're forced to literally try to put it down his throat. It's horrible, just horrible.
Yeah.
Special shout out to K9 Garden, excuse me, in Jersey City. I didn't make them part of my Facebook post. So that's where Argon, we used to say, he went to school. And the reason why we sent him to school was 2 main reasons in Hoboken. One, when Julie and I weren't able to take care of him during the day. One, because he would get to socialize and be with other dogs. And 2, we had a sunk expense, Lou, with Argon. He needed pills 4 times a day. So at minimum, 2 times a day when we were at work, we had to figure it out. So we figured out for the cost to get him dog walks, it was only marginally more to send him to a place that was like a luxurious, experience for Argy Boy. So I'm so happy that we were able to do that for him all those years. You guys
cream cheese is something I never thought of. I'm going to go home and try cream cheese tonight.
Oh, are you kidding me? Argy Boy loved it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, he loved it. So I want to read this that I wrote on Facebook because not everyone, I'm friends with on Facebook, so I wanted to share what I posted about argon just this afternoon. So I appreciate everyone, letting me talk about it and such. And without further ado, here we go. And we'll open up Nick Gable's personal 92 Bowman baseball pack on the house.
All right.
All right, so here we go. Argon will forever be me and Julie Curtis' first baby, or my and Julie Curtis' first baby. Julie is my wife. I wanted a dog since I was a young kid. My parents had told us we would get a dog when my youngest sister, Farron, turned 10. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but knew that when the time was right, I'd welcome a dog into my family one day. Waiting also helped prepare me better for life, that you don't always get what you want, but don't let anyone control or dictate your aspirations and dreams. I remember the day we got Argon very well. Driving down the Jersey Shore, we felt like children giddy on a Christmas morning. We were living in Hoboken at the time, which is a wonderful place for a young pup to make friends, socialize, and learn the ways of his new world. When Argon was about 1, we woke up in the middle of the night to what we thought was Argon choking. We rushed him to the 24-hour animal hospital, and it turns out it was a seizure. It was then determined that Argon had a severe form of epilepsy. Thank goodness we had pet insurance, as we had dozens of visits through the years to vets, neurologists, pen vet, holistic treatments, and more. I remember coming home with some stuff from a holistic vet. My wife's looking at me like, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm like, I'm willing to try anything.
Yeah.
I don't care. There were some, those that are close to us know how hard we tried, sacrificed, and worked to give Argon the very best life possible. There were some amazing times like taking him to dog beaches, which I have a funny story about, renting out a pool at a doggy daycare to swim with him and Julie. We did that. We literally rented out their pool. It was a doggy pool.
Yep.
Like, he did about a half hour. And for the first few minutes, he loved it, and then he was scared as shit. It was really funny. Renting out a pool at a doggy daycare to swim with him and Julie, teaching Crosby how to walk him in Hoboken, which is adorable, teaching Crosby about responsibility and how to take care of another life, taking Argon to the dog park for hours a day before Crosby was born. I mean, no exaggeration. Argy Boy had a really good life for a long time. Yep. And all the love he gave us and that we gave to him every day of his precious life. As life goes, there were some really difficult times, like crying on the floor of multiple vets when Argon wasn't doing well, seizures that wouldn't stop, even after getting home from another round at the hospital, and they told us everything was okay now. And in the first hour, we would get home, and I mean, literally, we would be bawling, we'd be nervous. He would have another focal seizure. We just didn't know what to do. So, in order to manage Argon's epilepsy, he had to get pills 3 to 4 times a day for the last 7 3/4 years. He started getting them when he was about 1. He would have been 9 on October 11th, so in a few months. We did this so that Argon wouldn't have died from having clusters of seizures.
Right.
But everything does have a cost. We were told by all the different vets, hey, you have to constantly now check his organs because you're giving him all these different medications.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, some of the medications that we gave him, like Keppra and potassium bromide, are the very same medications that human beings who take medication for epilepsy have to take.
Right.
So the more you take, the more you kind of feel drowsy or in a fog loop. But we had to weigh that against, Argon being alive and dying from like a 5 or 10 minute, seizure. We constantly had to have blood work done, follow-ups, and had to be accepting and loving that Argon wasn't going to always be as active as other dogs. But what he lacked in any physical activity, he made up for with his affection, friendship, happiness, and love for his family. He would always perk up for his grandma and grandpa, Shamina, Allison, and a cast of other people through the years. Special shout out to Charlie from Hoboken, who only walked him for a little bit. Charlie runs a wonderful pet sitting service in Hoboken. And even, without exaggeration, 2 years after Charlie stopped walking Argon, when Argon would see Charlie on the street, Argon would jump on him like he was his dad. I was actually a little jealous, honestly.
No, they know. Yeah. Yep.
So Charlie, I know treated him with a lot of love, and we appreciate that. Of course, everyone else did as well. And Shamina, who would help take care of him, give him his pills, etc. We are forever grateful to Dr. Levitin and the many others that helped Argon on his journey. Specifically from these respective these different vets. You have a lot of maybe the vets making decent money, but a lot of technicians they're not making a lot of money.
Right.
I never really met anyone that didn't have love in every ounce of their bone in one of those places. So thank you very much from the bottom of my family's heart. Most vets and dog lovers have so much compassion in TLC. It's an amazing community. Argon's streak of getting his epilepsy pills for over 2,700 days in a row is one that would make even Cal Ripken proud. I could not have taken care of Argy Boy without the love of his life, his mommy, and my amazing wife, Julie. I mean, he loved me very much.
Oh, yeah.
But he followed Julie around. Like, if Julie went downstairs, he would throw himself down the stairs. If Julie had to do something outside, that's what he would do. It really, really hurts, but that's how I know I was present and loved him every day.
That's right.
I'm a big mush, and I told him I loved him multiple times every day. So here's one more. Love you, Argy Boy. And then, of course, same photos I showed on camera.
Yeah. I will tell you also it gets easier and it gets warmer, and you start carrying these around in a little bit better way, but it's going to take some time. It's tough.
He loved his bully sticks.
All right, so we got a couple things going on here. We're matching with break credit for up to $500 of donations to the MSPCA. And if you donate to the MSPCA in Argon's name, we'll just give your receipts to Doug, and here's the email address right there. And we'll reimburse up to $500 in MSPCA donations in break credit here. And also, we're launching tonight. We'll talk about this over the next week or two as well. Leighton is giving up to $1,000 to help family or somebody adopt a dog. All the adoption costs, try to cover those. Try to get a dog and a family together. If you have a nominee or you want to nominate yourself,
Absolutely.
Just send an email to Leighton at Just Collect and contact us any way you can. And the only stipulation here is we all want to own this dog. So we're going to want to see pictures. We're going to want to see the adoption, maybe some video of the car ride home after you adopt them, and how the dog's getting along. We all want a big part of this. So
you said it so eloquently and nicely. Thank you. Shout out again to Nick. We're going to open your pack right now. So Nick said you started out with Dilatin and then phenobarb, which Argon, that was one of the 4 he took was phenobarb, but it made him too lethargic, so they switched him to Keppra. So the problem with Argy Boy is that he had such a severe case of epilepsy that we had to give him a very high dosage of medication. And so it really aided us, Nick, as to what's the right balance. And so, it was a struggle for a long time. We felt we did the best job possible, and we really did give him such a wonderful life. But I certainly, my heart goes out to you, Nick, and anyone else that suffers from epilepsy, because it's not easy. And it's certainly not easy if you end up having epilepsy and you are on your own. I can only imagine what kind of fight that might be. And so special shout out here to Gary as well, which I thought he said very nicely about our community, why he enjoys VB. It's more than just cards. He's enjoyed the bonding and the stories as much as anything else since finding VB at the beginning of the pandemic and dealing with it. And I'm actually going to take a screenshot because you said it really well, Gary. So it's the only way I could possibly remember.
And David, I'm sorry, I might have said MSPCA. We're looking for donations to the ASPCA.
ASPCA, yes.
Yep.
All right, so Nick, we're going to open up your 92 Bowman baseball pack. And, listen, we are a bunch of card nerds here, so I figured try to involve some baseball cards on the day we're celebrating some dogs. We're going to open this pack together. Juan Guzman. Now, do you remember, Lou? He was pretty dominant for a short period, right?
Juan Guzman was a power pitcher. He was really good for a short period there. Yeah.
What happened to him at the end of his career?
Just ran out of gas. There's only so many throws in those arms, I want to tell you this though. Last night, my house fantasy league is 33 years old.
Okay.
And last night we had a first. We had a team get no hit for the night over 30 at bats, and it was my team, and they went 0 for 40 last night. My team went 0 for 40 last night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not something to be proud of, but I do appreciate the interesting stat.
We used to do on the Sirius show, and this was a daily fantasy thing. We used to ask for people's no hitters, where they'd pick a daily fantasy team, and the team got no hit. We got one of them. We've got one of them in the last 6 years.
So it's
rare
really
this happens.
Yep. Pete O'Brien, Franklin Stubbs, I remember him. Tim Wallach looks like the foil. for the Old School Expos. I just saw an interview with Mo Vaughn the other day. I don't remember where I saw it.
I don't know about an interview. I saw an article the other day with, I think, 10 of the most overrated players in Major League Baseball history, and Mo Vaughn was on that list.
Yeah, wow.
And I don't think they're wrong either.
Yeah, remember Inky?
Yep, sure.
Ooh, that's nice. Jim Tomei rookie.
There you go. Yep.
We'll sleeve that for you. Ken Caminiti and Arthur Rhodes.
And Caminiti was on that list too.
Yep. Oh, he was on the overrated list?
On the overrated list, yeah.
To be fair, I don't remember his career that well. I thought he was a pretty decent third baseman.
Yeah, he was good, but he's got a little legendary hype in there that probably isn't deserved. But you know who was on that list too, and it's going to get everybody upset? Derek Jeter was on that list.
Oh wow! I mean, the thing is unrealistic. I love DJ, but he compiled some great stats. Was an amazing leader, but he wasn't the best baseball player. He was just all around. He had a good package,
Yeah, and he was. I always said, if Derek Jeter played in Kansas City, he'd never have made the Hall of Fame. He was a Yankee. He was a winner. There was no doubt about it. And he was a leader. But for pure talent, I'm not sure. A little bit overrated, I think.
Well, Lou, I really love that today's show was about dogs and about Argonne and about other people's stories with their dogs and their loving members of their family. And so I really appreciate everyone joining us today. I didn't even announce the prizes, but there are prizes.
Yeah. And
so I'm going to tell you what they are now. And I don't know if we have Dougie handy, but we're going to randomize the list. There's going to be 7 prizes today. First place, we'll get a $50 break credit courtesy of Vintage Breaks to VintageBreaks.com. Second place, we'll get a $50 credit to the Just Collect eBay store. And third through 7th, we'll get a $10 break credit to VintageBreaks.com. I'm going to randomize the list here.
I do need some twins on my team. That's absolutely right. Let's get Dougie in here. How we doing, Doug?
I'm doing good. This show today is for Argy, so we all
right, you guys, because last week it was a little. Last week people were wanted to hear the prizes with the person. So when we get to the final 7, I don't know, Leighton, you have the prize list.
Yeah, I'll rattle it off. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yep.
8 times, Dougie.
All right, here we go. All right.
Thanks to everyone who's tuning in today live for Leighton's Loft. We are live each and every Wednesday at 4:30. If you want to catch the show live, and if you are listening to the podcast after the fact, the only way to win free stuff is to tune in to us live every Wednesday at 4:30 on Leighton's Loft Facebook page. And of course, you can listen afterwards on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
All right.
I want to welcome Carpet Punter, his first show here. Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for tuning in, CP. Yeah, he knows us from VB. He's from Australia, Lou.
From Australia.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go.
Oh, so shout out to Charles G. Vintage Breaks West is going to be born this evening, starting at 10 o'clock Eastern Time.
2. That's right.
So we'll be working on that for quite some time. Vintage Breaks West, 10 o'clock tonight.
5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so we got 7 prizes. So Nick Gable, Joe Pascarella, James Gottschall, Ryan Kyle, Jim Lammers, Nikki V, Andy Brentano.
Well, Nick Gable won a $50 break credit to VintageBreaks.com. Who was second, guys?
Joe Pascarella.
So Joe P wins a $50 credit to the Just Collect eBay store.
Chase.
And then 3rd through 7th, each win a $10 break credit to VintageBreaks.com.
Okay.
Give those names again, Doug.
Yes, please.
All right. So, yep. So Nick Gable, congratulations. You got the $50 break credit for Vintage Breaks. Joe Pascarella, you get the $50 credit for Just Collect. And then James Gottschall, Ryan Kyle, Jim Lammers, Nick Vone, Andy Brentano, you guys each will get a $10 break credit to Vintage Breaks.
Excellent.
Yes,
he can donate in Australia, right? Carpet Punter, he can donate.
We're hoping to have offices over there. Absolutely.
You're looking to open an office, a Vintage Breaks
office? Like not an office. Basically, yeah, we're looking to expand potentially to Australian break, but we have a few people in mind that already have an office, thankfully.
You got me going there.
Yeah, cool. Honey, I got to go to Australia. Back in 3 weeks.
All right, Doug, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, so let's just recap again because we're doing some interesting things here, and I want to make sure everybody's straightened out. If you want to, I got to find the email for Doug again here. If you want to donate to the ASPCA, we're matching up to $500.
Yep, the first $5 donated will give you that money back in Vintage Breaks break credit because we really appreciate your support of ASPCA and Dogs Everywhere.
Yep, and there's the email address there. So when you get the receipt, email it to Doug, and we'll match it with break credits there. Also, Leighton is doing this exceptional thing, and we want to make this a big deal, and we want to have some fun with it. And we're trying to match a dog with its family, and Leighton's going to cover the adoption cost up to $1,000 for dogs. So it could be for your kid, could be for your wife or husband, or could be for if you get a married daughter or something, and they want their first pet. Anyone would make a good owner for a pet, and let's try to pair up a pet with a good owner. A dog with a good owner, and the only stipulation is you have to share it with us. In other words, we want
absolutely.
Videos. Yep.
We'd ask that you share that journey with our community. I know for myself it'll be therapeutic. I'd appreciate it. I'm sure many others as well that have been through something similar. And also, Lou, just to be clear, so let's just say, for example, the adoption costs are $400.
Mm-hmm.
We're then willing to buy food, toys. Like we're giving $1,000.
That's exceptional.
So it's not just for adoption costs. If the adoption costs are more, I hope they're not. But basically, we're going to be giving you $1,000 to help bring a dog into your family, into your home, and that's going to be through the adoption costs, through food, through toys, whatever else it's going to take. I know that my wife and Julie, my wife Julie and I would be very proud to do that.
And you can nominate yourself. Send an email to Leighton@justcollect.com. That's the best way to do it here. Feel free to nominate yourself, but if you have someone else, we want to get a pet, a dog, and an owner paired in our community here, and then follow along with all the fun, in honor of Argon and help us keep our Argon's memory alive. Although I don't think that's going to be much of a problem.
Yeah. Well, listen, Lou and Cody and Donald and Billy, Jeremy, Jim, CP, and Nick and Charles. And the rest of the gang here at Vintage Breaks and Just Collect. Thanks for making Leighton's Loft podcast today truly special for me and for our community. And it was very special. It's therapeutic for me. So thank you. Thanks for tuning in. And Argy boy, I love you, man, forever. Rest in peace. And thank you, everybody.
Yeah, he's going to be right by your side. So we'll see you all next week.